having experience in your field of choice as a nurse prior to starting?
The 3P. If I come back to remember it, I will say the word, because I don't know why I'm having a little moment here.
Had some level of good and bad. So not all programs are great. Working nurse, and I would like to come in here and discuss my experience of going to school to Walden, specifically for the psych portion, but I will give few tips and things to consider if you are a nurse looking for a program, pros and cons, and things that are based on my specific experience. This is just a disclaimer. This is not sponsored by Walden. This has nothing to do with the great things or bad things about a specific school. Every program I went through, from obtaining my associate's to bachelor's to now at the graduate level, had some level of good and bad. So not all programs are great, but at the same time you have to see specifically what you're looking for, what's your style of education, how do you like to learn, your preferred style, in person, hybrid, or 100% online. So my journey began at about 3 years ago, when I finished my bachelor's and I knew I was gonna go for a graduate degree. So at that time, I did not know specifically, and I think that could be a step for so many nurses if you don't know exactly what you want to do yet, because there is so many different specialties. You have to find your heart and what you like before you go into it, especially with the amount of dedication and time. And I think if you're specifically into the field that you would like to practice and has a direct passion to it, which is I'm gonna come back to as far as the education portion, it's gonna be much easier. So it will still be difficult, but because you care about the topics you're learning, it's an enjoyable experience rather than a burden. Because everybody knows grad school is a pain to begin with, right? So the main thing for me was I had to start a master's program at some point. So what I went originally was to American Public University for their general Masters of Science in Nursing, which is their MSN. And I think they have two, one for educator or one for administration. You don't have to choose, and that's what I did. I took the one that I found and I started school. The less stress you have, in my opinion, the more likely you will succeed in your grad school experience. I'm a working mom, got 2 kids. At that time I had like 2 jobs. This is pre-pandemic stage. So what's important is that I started school, took general courses for about a year and a half, because I was one of the students that I wanted to have a quality of life. I was not in a rush. So I took one class, 8 weeks, which still allowed me to be a mom, live my life, go to the gym, just the normal everything. And then while I was doing that, I was working in ICU, I recall, and my experience, initially I wanted to do some form of acute care. The more I did it, I worked, there was a lot of, and pretty much my ICU was ran at night by an NP. She was excellent. The specific, I used to work at a community form type of hospital. So it was like a non-profit, one of the oldest ones, a religious hospital. And it was primarily ran at night by an NP. I mean, when I say that other than intubation, that anesthesia did, she did everything. Fem lines, A lines. I mean, she was excellent. But to me, she was single. She didn't have kids. She was there 7 on, 7 off every night between upstairs and downstairs in the ICU. That wasn't for me. which I know there's other avenues to work in the hospital. You can work in the ED. There's a lot of, I work in the ED as well in my other job. And so I work with a lot of other MPs in there as well, PAs. So it depends on what you're looking for specifically in your style of life that you want to have once you graduate. And that was a huge factor for me. That was pre-pandemic, and I'm so glad I made my decision that way, because now I am so even stronger that I made the right decision by choosing psych. Because number one, I have a huge passion for it, and number two, everything that rose in healthcare in the last 2 years was significant. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have experienced that firsthand, especially as nurses. So that's how I started weighing my options. I knew I'm not into pediatrics, which is sometimes if you go to the ED, if that's you want to do acute care, you're gonna have to see pediatrics. Mother and baby, that wasn't my passion. So it was either going to be some form of family, which will allow me to specialize, either go to plastics, dermatology, maybe cosmetics. I mean, I'm great. I like to get that stuff done myself. But, I did not know if that was really something that I was in call for. So psych, we all struggle with psych. I personally had dealt a fair share myself with specifically postpartum depression, and found, to me, unfortunately, not so many great resources, found how difficult that is to, as a working mom, and especially in healthcare, there's so much stigma about psych. So long story short, I looked into it. I looked what it takes, what is the education, all of these things, which schools, and that's when I'm gonna come to the school portion of why I specifically chose Walden over other programs. So I found that there is schools, for example, so keep in mind, I am still taking credits in my general master's at that time, while I'm doing all of this research simultaneously, because I'm not wasting time, instead of waiting until you know exactly what you want to do, you can take classes in the majority of programs. And this is what I want to emphasize on. Your 3 Ps in your NP program, which is your physical assessment, your farm, and why am I having a brain? Physical assessment, farm, the 3P. If I was come back to remember it, I will say the word, because I don't know why I'm having a little moment here. I probably will insert it in here by the time I'm making this video. So your 3Ps, ones you usually cannot transfer those. So you can usually transfer your general classes. There are roughly about 4 or 5 courses, but you cannot transfer the other ones. So that keep in mind while you're looking for schools. So then going back to psych, the reasons why I was specifically looking for Walden, because not only it's an online program, at least for me, that's a factor. I looked in my city for an actual school. I live in Virginia. The area where I live in Hampton Roads, my preferred college would have been ODU. ODU has a hybrid program where you're not affiliated even with ODU. It's Shenandoah, up I think in DC, if I'm not mistaken. So, and there is no hybrid. The closest college to me that had any form of a hybrid state was VCU. And that's in Richmond, which is about 2 hours away from me. So that's impossible for me to do. So when I looked at Frontier, I looked at a few other colleges to list few. And the reason why I mentioned Frontier, because there is few colleges that have cohorts. So once you're accepted into the program, you have to, and this is why it's important for me to mention this, is you have to finish with your cohort. You cannot take a break due to, I'm not sure if they have clause for due to family emergency, but what that reminded me of is actually my first time when I went to nursing school. So it was a cohort. You had to enter, if for whatever reason, if you have to drop out, you have to reapply. No, you don't reapply, but you get put on a wait list for the following class to get put in back. Like I had a friend that had a family death in Congo, and she had to leave, so she had to drop, or her dad was sick or something like that. So long story short, that's a big decision maker for me. It's not for everybody, but for me it is. As I said, I am a mom, I am foreign, I have other responsibilities, and at the same time, I want to have my freedom because I'm a working student. I still have my bills, I still have everything else going on, and that's even before the pandemic have hit. So Walden for me was a great choice because you can still be in the program, but if for whatever reason you take a break in a semester, it does not set you behind, and you can just like I took the summer off, for example, and I just signed in for the winter for the fall semester. So that was a main deciding factor for me for Walden. As far as some people could say the online schooling or not, or how much learning, I'm gonna get into that in future videos, because I will help you, or I will show exactly what I'm doing that is helping me. Because so far, and what made me decide to make this video is my last exam. It was extremely one of the most difficult, as by many, kind of, whether on Facebook or if you talk to anybody, taking psych pharm is a whole nother level of difficulty. But I was still able to ace it, and I was able to understand the questions, to understand what they're asking me, the pharmacodynamics, the pathology, all of what involves for me the patient symptoms. I mean, pretty much everything down to the T. Why my answer, I was very confident when I took the test. So, and my strategy worked. And I think this is why I'm gonna make these videos, and I'm gonna make videos all throughout my program to help other people who are struggling. And why are you struggling? And that's why I'm gonna come back to the passion is a huge attribute as well. So when I selected Walden, I got a contact with an advisor. They mentioned to me pricing. So I'm gonna mention something about money saving that was for me a huge deal. I kind of like did not really know that much at the beginning, but I realized it. So when I went to American Public University, they were roughly way cheaper grad level cost per credit compared to like Walden or any other college that I looked into. So that saved me, I probably will say maybe roughly about $8,000 or $5,000 to $8,000. And then I think Walden had, at that time when I was enrolling, like a $5,000 scholarship. They have that few times a year, which take a deductive out of your full program. And also, if you are, they have contracts with certain employers. You know, so those are just things to help with cost. As you know, like cost can be a huge factor for a lot of people. I can't go into details because, to be honest with you, I don't even know how much I pay per credit once all that stuff is factored in. I mean, it's still a pretty I don't know how many thousands is a semester, but I know it's still pretty up there. Well, so the other thing was, a lot of people mention specifically when they're looking for a nursing program for specifically for nurse practitioners, preceptorship. And I'm gonna make a video about this, which I have a lot of colleagues of mine as well in different programs, in different schools, even the ones that are into like an actual like a local university, like me mentioning ODU, still had to find their preceptor, you know, in the school. But what I'm trying to include here is the fact that having experience in your field of choice as a nurse prior to starting a specific program unless you're going into family practice where you will see pretty much all population across the lifespan. Is important to make sure that you are on the right path to what you want to do. Okay, so finding exactly what you want in psych, for me, as far as a career, whether if I do it acutely or I do it outpatient, I think I can handle both because I did both, and I did it in one of the most difficult like places, I would say, especially like a full in-house psychiatric hospital. Like in my state or in my area, there is literally two. There is the one that I work in that was technically for acute, short-term, under 15 days, and there was a long-term inpatient hospital. So that gave me what I wanted to see, and keep that in mind. So the selection of the school, as I said, again, the factor in of the ability to take classes whenever, and maybe I dragged on my program. Some people can take 2 classes at a time. That was never something I would have ever done, because it just, for me, will not work in my lifestyle. I want to be able to be with my kids, I want to be able to be with my family, and I want to be able to still live my life. As I said, go to the gym, be a working adult, as well as like have few hours of the day to work on my school. So with that in mind, I'm gonna end this video, and I'm gonna win to make more, hopefully, regarding each specific course. I'm gonna try to start from where I'm at currently, because I'm pretty sure other parts of the program, probably there's other videos about it, but I will actually start within the psych program and give a lot of tips for things that have helped me. So thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications, so every time I drop a video, y'all can be part of it. Also, please leave me comments in the comment sections with questions, because I would love to know exactly what you guys are looking for me to go over, because that will help me narrow and make videos for you guys to benefit you and help, because I feel like the nursing community, we all need that. We need the assistant. I have done so great in choosing and finding what is working for me, because other people have put in a lot of information, so I could use it myself in order to succeed and find a program that would specifically work for me. So thank you guys, and I hope you're having a great day.